Welcome to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. All right, I have Robert Gardner. He is here with me to talk about not only what he does for the variety of companies throughout Dallas, but also the part that he plays as chairman of the board of Texas Concilium. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
All right, my pleasure. Give us some background on yourself. Give us some background on the Texas Concilium, and I want to know how Gardner Wallace works with these companies to take them to a point of excellence.
Okay, so Texas Concilium is a nonprofit organization. It's recognized by the state of Texas as a nonprofit organization for the betterment of businesses in North Texas. And I got involved with them because as baby boomers age, as people transition and exit their business, there's going to be such a market for businesses that need to transition or sell. They need to start preparing themselves for that event. And even if you're younger, just to have a business running better than it does today, tomorrow, it just makes sense.
Tell me what Gardner Wallace does to help that transition and the legacy continue.
So Gardner Wallace is a company that has financial planning. We do wealth management. We have a team of advisors and a staff that's fantastic. My side of the business is working with business owners on succession planning and on key employee retention. And the two work together. So if you're thinking about a transition, you're thinking about exiting, it makes sense to get a business valuation, have a financial plan run. It's not about looking to get your wealth. It's looking so you can make the right decision for you. You're on track for retirement. Mm-hmm. You have to work more years than you wanted to work. You have to live on less than you wanted to live on, or you've got to get more value in your company. But it's in your hands to decide at the right time, not when you're all of a sudden ready to exit and you go, oh my God, what happened?
What cycle of maturity do you generally start to become involved with the company, and then how does that work with what you do through the Texas Concilium also?
So whether you're a startup, whether you're in a growth position, whether you're a growth mode, whether you're in estate planning or transition planning, there are different issues that each company needs to kind of work through and look at, and they're all different. There's some that are the same, but there's a lot of differences. We help companies for the Concilium, whether you're starting up or you're in growth. As you grow, your processes change, and when your processes change and you haven't kept them up to date, stress starts finding its way into your company through your employees, through your management, through your owners. Mm-hmm. And so at any level, it's good to start just running your business properly. The advantage that one of the things I love about the Concilium is the depth of advisors they have. And one of the advantages of if you do have challenges, or you do want to get your company running like it should be running, it's a holistic approach, a truly holistic approach, that they come in and look at your business to make sure that what you think needs to be worked on is the right area to start with, because you don't want to do something that affects something else and don't have any idea of what you just did, to the yin and yang effect, if that makes sense.
Give me a case study, something that you did with Gardner Wallace and the Texas Concilium where they came in, you found a solution to an issue that they had. Maybe it wasn't even the issue they thought they really had. You know, my hand hurts, but really it's your vertebrae,
right,
type of thing.
And that's really an interesting question, because most companies, when you walk in as a business owner or as an employee, things look normal. And when things look normal, you don't realize what's getting away from you sometimes. And so this company was having an issue with their expenses and could not get a handle on it. And quite honestly, even if they had an audit, the audit would have looked normal because it was normal. But what was happening to the company was the controller was actually embezzling and doing it through payroll, ghost payroll. And they had no idea that this was happening because it was in an industry where a lot of their workers were off site. Don't want to get into the company name, but they were completely blindsided. And when we went in to help to figure it out, that was like one of the last things that that wasn't on the radar. We really were looking at the issues and what the issues would be. And when the issues didn't come up to make sense, we dug deeper and we found the actual problem. And it really, the amount of money that was going through this company, it was sickening. And so that's one story.
How do you finally get to the point where people start to know that they really need your service? Not suspect it, but they have, like, I need somebody to come in and take a look at this thing. What are some of the symptoms that people maybe thought of, but they don't really recognize that they need somebody outside to come in and help them figure out how they could be better?
So, one of the things that I hear from many, many business owners when I say, so what is your gross profit? And they'll give me a number. And I'll say, well, how is that? And they'll go, about average. So that means that somebody's doing less and someone's doing double more. And do you want to be average?
Okay.
Because if we're just average, there's room, right? And so, if you're happy with where you're at and you don't want to go through the stress of because quite honestly, as a business owner, you have to be willing and able to change. And if you're not willing and able to change, it's not a fun activity to go through. It's fun once you get things starting in the right direction and start seeing the progress and the margins and efficiencies that start generating more profit. And another example to that would be, I had a friend, somebody we work with, that he said, my problem is I have one client that is just, he's my main customer, and he keeps squeezing me for more, for me to lower my prices.
Right.
He goes, and the problem is I don't have any more room to give him, but I can't afford to lose him. And everyone's telling me, well, dilute him. Let's get a sales coach in here and dilute this client. What would you do? I said, well, let someone come in and look at your operation. It's a lot cheaper to make you more efficient and give you more breathing room and then dilute the client to add growth to other areas of your business so that you have some room to go, oh my God, I can breathe again.
Right.
And so that was, one way of looking at it as opposed to just going in for growth. Growth's a very expensive process. You have to make sure your finances are in order because you have to make sure you can take on more inventory or more accounts receivables or more salespeople or more whatever. Mm-hmm. When you go to value a business, it's just basically growth in revenues, margins and efficiencies, and risk. And risk can be measured because if it wasn't measurable, insurance companies wouldn't give you insurance on it. But doing a little of all three is exponentially greater than doing any just one. It makes everything better. And it's just, if you increase certain things by 5% or 6% a year, think of what that does to your bottom line. It's huge. And so while you certainly can't obtain 100% improvement, little bitty bites make a huge difference to a company.
And that's something I can see that because people say, well, let me stop the bleeding here, mm-hmm. but you're saying it's pervasive throughout the entire organism that you have to pay attention to. Do you find that a lot of people don't really get that, and that you kind of have to wake them up and say, no, it's a bigger problem than what you think it is?
The analogy I use is when you take your car to the mechanic because you see where the oil's leaking out of,
right.
and you tell him it's coming from right here. And he gets into your engine and goes, well, that's where it's leaking from, but the cause is 2 steps deep into your engine. And it's very similar to that in a business. You might think you know where the leak is, but that's not the cause. The cause needs to be identified. And so that's what the Consilium comes in and does, as any good consultant would come in and do.
Right. But we don't have just any good consultant here with the Concilium. I mean, it's endorsed by the legislature of Texas, the governor of Texas. I mean, he wouldn't do that offhand. There has to be some track record that you guys have been able to produce to create such an advocacy from such a high level of authority here in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And
One of the main I think reasons to have the Concilium look at your company to see if they can help is if we can't make an impact. We're a nonprofit company. We don't have to keep our engine running. So we don't have to take a job on just to take a job on. We can pass, and we will pass if we go into your company and realize that either we're not a fit, or you're not a fit for us, or you're not willing and able to change. And so it's just a great organization to have some kind of a fair look at you to see, does this make sense?
what also impressed me about the members of the Texas Concilium is that they pull from some of the brightest real life warriors in the fight to succeed. I mean, you have a brain trust from the Fortune 100s that make up one of the most vibrant economies that we have in the country.
The depth that we have has worked for large companies, and the Concilium is offering those services at affordable pricing to small businesses and mid-sized businesses so that they can become like that. I would like to point out in one of the things that Gardner Wallace does that I really enjoy being aligned with the Concilium is the Concilium also looks at the what ifs. What if there's a death, a divorce, a disagreement, or a disability, and that's where I come in to make sure that your plan are the goals are what you want, are things in place to make sure if something happens, because it's a very overlooked area that businesses just want to work on the business but don't think about the future if something happens to them or a key person.
Well said. Thanks for being a guest.
All right, well, thank you.
My pleasure.
It's done.
You've been watching CEO Money with Michael Yorba. Thanks for joining with us. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and don't forget to download our new app, CEO Money. You'll find it on Android and iOS. Talk to you soon.